The most obvious criticism of the film is in regard to casting. In Bronte's novel, Heathcliff and Catherine are 18 and 19 as adults, but in Fennell's version, Heathcliff and Catherine are aged up to be in their late 20s, early 30s. Actors Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi are 35 and 28 respectively, so they definitely look older than what fans had envisioned from the novel. This decision to age up the characters seems like it was to accommodate for the casting of these big-name actors. Furthermore, Heathcliff being played by a Caucasian man is also inaccurate to the book. Several descriptions in the novel point to the idea that Heathcliff is a person of color, having tan skin and an overall different appearance than those around him. It is his different identity that really ostracizes him from other characters. So then, fans are calling this casting decision whitewashing, and the outrage is real over this change. And then when asked specifically about Heathcliff's casting, Fennell says the following.
And the Heathcliff casting, has had some comments around if that should be a person of color and, casting Jacob in it. What do you kind of think about that commentary?
I think the thing is everyone who loves this book has such a personal connection to it. And so you can only ever kind of make the movie that you sort of imagined yourself when you read it, and then you can, I think I was sort of focusing on kind of sadomasochistic elements of it. And so, but that's the great thing about this movie, is it could be made every year.
So basically, accurate casting was not a priority. The film focuses on the intense romance and bond between Catherine and Heathcliff. The two have sex multiple times, which is something that never happened in the novel. The physical intimacy in the film appears to fans of erotic films and really plays up the romance aspect of the story. But the truth is, the novel is not a romance, much less erotic. They kiss once, with no other implication of intimacy. The larger themes of Bronte's novel is actually of generational trauma. But because the film ends at Catherine's death, we don't get to see how Heathcliff inflicts these traumas and resentments onto the next generation. Catherine's death should be a turning point in the story, not the ending. In the novel, Mr. Earnshaw is a kind man who takes in Heathcliff. He loves Heathcliff, possibly more than his own son Hindley. Hindley becomes jealous of Heathcliff and despises him. Once Mr. Earnshaw dies, Hindley inherits Wuthering Heights and becomes a tyrant, forcing Heathcliff to work as a servant, spending the family money on gambling, and drinking away the loss of his wife. In the film, Fennell takes the liberty of merging Hindley and Mr. Earnshaw's characters into simply just Mr. Earnshaw, the abusive father of Catherine and Heathcliff. In the novel, Heathcliff becomes a monster, abusing the next generation of children after Catherine's death. The movie conveniently ends once Catherine dies, however, preserving Heathcliff's character as someone the audience can sympathize with. And on that note, let's discuss more excluded characters. Catherine dies before giving birth to her daughter Cathy, and Isabella never births her son Linton. And because the film excludes Hindley, there's also no Hareton. In the second half of the novel, Heathcliff would go on to abuse all these children as revenge for the pain and abuse he endured from their parents. The film seeks to keep things simple, as adding all these characters would take away from the love story Fennell is trying to sell. So then, after hearing all this, is this film still worth watching? Well, all these changes do fundamentally change the meaning of the story. There is no story of generational trauma because there are no children to traumatize, and there is no clear abuser. In an attempt to create a romantic/erotic film to sell to people just in time for Valentine's Day, Emerald Fennell has completely discarded the larger themes that make the story so complex and moving. It's understandable that fans would be so upset. So then, who is this film for? I'd like to argue that it's for people who have not read the novel. Or it's also people who want an easy, low-stakes romance movie to watch. Wuthering Heights is a film you can turn your brain off to watch. Now, I may sound bitter in saying all this, but I actually did enjoy the movie. I think that's because I read the book so long ago and I wasn't so deeply attached to the story. So then, this movie can be enjoyed if audiences have either never read the original novel, or audiences can let go completely of the expectation of a novel-accurate adaptation. Wuthering Heights can offer you steamy scenes with Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie, amazing set design, beautiful cinematography, extravagant outfits, but it can't give what readers want, which is Bronte's story.